Welcome to Engineering Studio with Dr. Mohammed Tahir. In this video, we are going to discuss about the residual stresses in steel section. We will see what are these residual stresses, how these residual stresses are produced, or what are the sources of these residual stresses. So first of all, what are these residual stresses? The residual stresses are the stresses that remain in a member after it has been formed into a finished product. So these are always present in a member even without the application of load. For example, we have a sheet, and if we make a channel section by cold bending, so the stresses will produce at those bent parts, and these stresses will remain there even after the product is formed or the channel section is formed, and these stresses are termed as residual stresses. So the magnitude of these residual stresses can be considerably high, so it can reach up to the yield stress. So that's why it is necessary to consider these stresses during the design of the steel sections, because some of the section capacity is already utilized by these residual stresses. So the next is sources of residual stresses. The first one is cold bending of members. So the cold bending of members beyond their elastic limit produces residual stress and strains within the member. For example, if we have a steel bar, if we bend it beyond its elastic limits, so during bending there will be compression on the inner side and tension on the outer side. So when we are bending beyond its elastic limit, we have such case. For example, this is the outer edge, and here we have, for example, 4 particles. 1 particle, 2nd particle, 3rd particle, and 4th particle. So during bending, these particles will move in this direction, and this will also move in this direction, this one, and this one will also move in this direction. So because on the outer side there will be tension. So after bending, when we will release, for example, during bending, so this portion of the section undergoes, plastic deformation, or it has gone beyond its elastic limit. So these particles will be displaced from this point up to this point. So they have gained their new position. So when we will release this member, or we release or remove the load, so the portion which is under elastic deformation, this one and this one, the particle of this portion, for example, this particle has moved up to this point, so it will try to go back at its original position, and this one will also try to go back at its original position. But the particles within this range, which has permanently deformed, so they will remain at their new position. So as a result, so when these particles will move toward these permanently deformed particles, so they will apply compressive stresses on those particles. So as a result, this portion will undergo compression, or the particles within this portion will undergo compression. So after the removal of load, so there will come compressive stresses in that portion. So these type of stresses are termed as residual stresses. So similar case will be on the inner side. So on the inner side, initially the particles will move toward each other. So the inner particle will also move in this direction. So if this portion is permanently deformed, so these particles will attain their new position. And similarly, these particles, the outside particle, will also move toward this. And after the removal of loads, so the particles which are elastically deformed will try to go back at their original position, but the particles which have permanently deformed, they will gain a new position. So when these particles which are elastically deformed, so they will go back to their original position, they will try to pull these particles. So as a result, the particles which are permanently deformed, so they will undergo tension. So this tension will be termed as residual tension. So in this way, the residual stresses will develop in this bent part. So initially during bending, there will be tension at the outer side and compression on the inner side. But after the removal of load, when it will try to straighten up because of the elastic deformation in this portion, so the outer part will undergo compression and the inner part will undergo tension. So if we use such section or such member in such a way, for example, during the fabrication of a J bolt which have such type of shape, here we have bolt or nut. So this portion is a bend portion. So at this portion, at the outer side, there will be compression or residual compressive stress, and on the inner side there will be residual tension stress. So if we use this J bolt in such a way that it is supported on this projected side, so when we apply a tension load, so the tensile forces or the tensile stress will develop on the inner side and the compressive stress will develop on the outer side. So if because of this applied load P, there is a stress of 200 megapascal, compressive stress similarly, the tensile stress is also 200 megapascal, but there will also exist some residual stress, residual compressive as well as residual tension. For example, this residual stress is 20 megapascal, compressive as well as tensile. So in this portion, there will be the total stress 200 megapascal, but at this section on the inner side, the tension will be 220 megapascal, and on the outer side, it will be 220 megapascal compressive stress. So the actual stress at this portion, at the bend part, will be higher than the applied stress, and that is because of residual stresses. The next is uneven cooling. Uneven cooling of structural shapes after hot rolling produces thermal stresses which are permanently stored in the member. So the thicker part cools at the end and try to shorten in length, and tension is produced in them. While doing so, they produces compressive stress in the other parts of the section. So we need to understand this phenomena, how the stresses are produced due to uneven cooling of the section. So for that, first we need to understand the concept of thermal stresses. For example, we have a rod fixed between these two supports, and if the temperature of this rod increases, so this will try to expand. So when this will try to expand, so reactive forces, this will apply the force on these supports, and as a result, these supports will provide or will apply the reactive force on this rod. As a result, this rod will undergo compressive stresses. So this rod will undergo compression. So the expansion of this rod will cause compressive stresses in this rod. So if a member expands, for example, we have two layers of a material, the bottom layer as well as the upper layer. So if the upper layer of the material expands, so as a result, if this layer is attached to the bottom layer, so compressive stresses will generate in this layer, the upper layer, which is expanding. So when this layer is expanding, so it will try to drag the bottom layer, which is attached with the upper layer. So as a result, the bottom layer will undergo tension. So the one layer is under compression while the bottom layer or the other layer is in tension. So the adjacent layer will be in tension. Similarly, if the upper layer is contracting, so and it is attached to the bottom layer and restrained on the ends, so it will undergo tensile stresses. And when this layer is contracting, so it will try to compress the adjacent layer, and as a result, the adjacent layer or the bottom layer will undergo compression, while the upper layer, which is contracting or which is shortening, it will undergo tensile stress. So this is the same written over here. The thicker part cool at the end and they try to shorten. So the portion which tries to shorten, so it will undergo tension, while the other portion adjacent to it will undergo compressive stresses. So in case of structural shapes, for example, I shape, So this portion will be thick, and this will cool at the end. So as a result, tension will produce in this section or in this portion, while the adjacent portion will undergo compression. So here the stresses will be like this. So this portion will be in compression, while this portion will be in tension. Similarly over here. So this portion in tension and this portion in compression. So the thicker portion which cools at the end, it will try to shorten, and as a result the tension will be produced in that portion, while the adjacent portion will undergo compressive stresses. Okay, the next source of residual stress is during fabrication. If some part having extra length is forced to fit between other members, the stresses are produced in the associated members. For example, in case of truss, for example, we have truss. So here it is like this. If during fabrication this member is a little bit larger than its required length, and it is forced to fit in this length, so as a result it will cause the compressive stress in this member, and it will also undergo the compressive stress. So this stress is without the application of external load, it is just because of the fabrication error. So this type of stress is termed as residual stress, and it will remain present in the member even without the application of load. So the next is punching a hole and cutting operation during fabrication also produces residual stresses. So during fabrication, if we punch a hole in a plate, so the portion adjacent to this hole will undergo plastic deformation, and as a result they will produce some stresses, and these stresses will remain there. So these are termed as residual stresses. So that's why during calculation of net section in the tension member design, we consider the effective diameter of hole instead of net diameter or the actual diameter of hole. Okay, the fifth reason or the fifth source of this residual stress is welding. So welding also produces stresses due to uneven cooling during welding or uneven cooling after welding. So when we weld these two plates, so this weld portion will cool at the end, while the adjacent portion will cool earlier. So this portion which cools at the end, so it will try to shorten, and as a result the tensile stresses will develop in that portion, and the adjacent member will undergo the compressive stress. So welded parts will cool at the end, inviting other parts to contract with it. So this produces compressive stresses in parts away from weld and tensile stresses in the part closer to the weld. So closer to the weld there will be tensile stresses, and away from the weld there will be compressive stress. So